Hello everybody and welcome back. Today we continue the first chapter of Alice Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. If you remember from yesterday, Alice stepped through the looking glass into Looking Glass House and found the White King and Queen with their daughter Lily on the floor, and she had picked the king up. Shall we see what happens next? Then, if you're ready, I'll begin. "Oh, please don't make such faces, my dear," she cried, quite forgetting that the king couldn't hear her. "You make me laugh so that I can hardly hold you. And don't keep your mouth so wide open. All the ashes will get into it. There, now I think you're tidy enough," she added as she smoothed his hair and set him upon the table next to the queen. The king immediately fell flat on his back and lay perfectly still, and Alice was a little alarmed at what she had done, and went round the room to see if she could find any water to throw over him. However, she could find nothing but a bottle of ink, and when she got back with it, she found he had recovered, and he and the queen were talking together in a frightened whisper, so low that Alice could hardly hear what they said. The king was saying, "I assure you, my dear, I turned cold to the very end of my whiskers." To which the queen replied, "You haven't got any whiskers." "The horror of that moment," the king went on, "I shall never, never forget." "You will, though," the queen said, "if you don't make a memorandum of it." Alice looked on with great interest as the king took an enormous memorandum book out of his pocket and began writing. A sudden thought struck her, and she took hold of the end of the pencil, which came some way over his shoulder, and began writing for him. The poor king looked puzzled and unhappy, and struggled with the pencil for some time without saying anything. But Alice was too strong for him, and at last he panted out, "Oh, my dear, I really must get a thinner pencil. I can't manage this one a bit. It writes all manners of things that I don't intend." "What manner of things?" said the queen, looking over the book, in which Alice had put, "The White Knight is sliding down the poker. He balances very badly." "That is not a memorandum of your feelings." There was a book lying near Alice on the table, and while she sat watching the White King, for she was still a little anxious about him, and had the ink all ready to throw over him, just in case he fainted again, she turned over the leaves to find some part she could read. "For it's all in some language I don't know," she said to herself. It was like this. She puzzled over this for some time, but at last a bright thought struck her. "Why, it's a looking-glass book, of course, and if I hold it up to a glass, the words will all go the right way again." This was the poem that Alice read. Jabberwocky. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toes did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogoves, and the mome raths outgrabe. Beware the Jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the Jub-Jub bird, and shun the frumious Bandersnatch. He took his vorpal sword in hand, long time the manxome foe he sought. So rested he by the Tumtum tree, and stood a while in thought. And as in uffish thought he stood, the Jabberwock, with eyes of flame, came whiffling through the tulgey wood, and burbled as it came. 1-2, 1-2, through and through, the vorpal blade went snicker-snack. He left it dead, and with its head he went galumphing back. "And hast thou slain the Jabberwock? Come to my arms, my beamish boy, O frabjous day, Callooh, Callay," he chortled in his joy. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toes did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogoves, and the mome raths outgrabe. "It seems very pretty," she said when she had finished it, "but it is rather hard to understand." You see, she didn't like to confess, ever, to herself, that she couldn't make it out at all. "Somehow it seems to fill my head with ideas, only I don't know exactly what they are. However, somebody killed something. That's clear at any rate." "But oh!" thought Alice, jumping up suddenly. "If I don't make haste, I shall have to go back through the looking-glass before I've seen what the rest of the house is like. Let's have a look at the garden first." She was out of the room in a moment and ran downstairs. Or, at least, it wasn't exactly running, but a new invention of hers for getting downstairs quickly and easily, as Alice said to herself. She just kept the tips of her fingers on the handrail and floated gently down without even touching the stairs with her feet. Then she floated on through the hall, and would have gone straight out the door in the same way if she hadn't caught hold of the doorpost. She was getting a little giddy with so much floating in the air, and was rather glad to find herself walking again in the natural way. Well, 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 ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I wonder what she's going to find next in Looking Glass House territory. Tune in tomorrow for Chapter 2 of Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. Take care of yourself. My name's been Sascha Cooper, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.